Trays, boxes and baskets have always been great sellers for me. I have, however, always gotten a lot of questions about the food safety and how to make your trays water resistant. So in this step-by-step guide, I will guide you through everything. These are the parts that I need for my tray. This is part of a project I'm working on, but this is the basic tray. So I have a bottom, I have two ends here with handles, and I have two longer sides. A few things that I would like to address first is the way that I build my slots and tabs. I know that some of you might be familiar with regular finger slots, I think you call them, but I always use this little edge on the end of my tabs. This makes it a lot more sturdy, in my opinion, because if I have something that is going to fall off, it will only be the sides that are snapped on to the box, tray or basket or whatever I make. I make a lot of baskets and boxes and trays with this system. Once you have cut your project, this is 10mm poplar plywood. You can cut them from whatever thickness you are capable of, but the thicker you cut it, the more stable and sturdy your tray will definitely be. I did make a little impatient move, so instead of cutting my stuff loose, where I didn't cut all the way out, I just pushed it out. So that's why I have these tiny marks around. But if you have something that you cut loose, here's a little tip, because you will probably end with these ugly marks. An easy way to remove those is to take a Sharpie. So once you have your Sharpie, you just carefully go over the tray and go to the edge of it. If you have some bumps like this one, that is because it's missing some wood. I do recommend that you use wood filler or something else, but that's a little tip. Once you have your tray, the first thing I always do is to sand it. I didn't sand off all my residue on this one because I will be staining it anyway. So my stain will hide all these residue and flashback marks on the back. I use a Ryobi sander with grit 240, I think. And once I'm done with sanding, I just use a dry brush and remove all my dust. And now it's ready to be stained and treated before I go ahead and assemble. There's obviously 100 products that you can use to stain and treat your tray, but for trays, and especially if you're going to use these as serving trays for food and liquid, I do recommend that you find something that is food safe and water repellent. I'll personally be using this varnish from Luxens. I am aware that you can't get this everywhere, but this type of varnish is the same that you use for kitchen countertops, so you might be able to find something similar to this. This one you can clean with a wet cloth, and it's also resistant. It will make this hard kind of shell over the surface. Also, it is food graded since it is for kitchen countertops. To apply, you can either use a foam roller, a regular brush, or you can use a foam brush. I find that the foam roller is easy because I can wipe it off without having too much spillage inside these grooves. Another little tip now that you are building a tray is to keep the cutoffs from your tabs, because these are perfect as stirring sticks. So I'll just use this one to stir up my varnish. And now we can begin the painting process. So you just apply the varnish on your foam roller and then start by carefully spreading it out a little, and then you just roll it. Once my first coat is dry, I will flip over everything and paint it on the back. You might see how this color wasn't perfect at hiding my residue, but without revealing too much of what type of tray this is, I will be adding these side panels to this one as well, so I actually don't bury too much of my residue. But if you are going to build a tray as is, I do recommend that you maybe sand your pieces a little better if your varnish doesn't cover the residue marks, or use a type of varnish or color that will cover it more nicely. But I'll let this dry. I'll repeat the painting on the other side, and I'll show you once everything is painted and ready to be assembled. Now that everything is stained on both sides and dry, I will go over with this little sanding block because it is a little rough right now. But just wiping it over, will now make it nice and smooth. Let's test the water resistance. So as you see, this is really waterproof now. Instead of soaking into the woods, it just lays on top of it. So cleaning is a lot easier once you have sealed everything. I will be buffing all the sides and on the frames here as well, and I'll see you in a bit. I'm done sanding, and I just added some light so you can see the shine of this. It's absolutely gorgeous. Assembling is easy as well. I do recommend that you use the prettier side as the showing bottom, and for the sides here, if you are going to build a tray with, remember I said I would add a frame to mine, I would recommend that you place the prettier side outwards and the uglier side inwards. But in my scenario, I am going to add a frame to the uglier side, so I will actually do it the opposite way. But assembling these types are really easy. I do recommend that you use wood glue of some sort. Glue all the tabs on the bottom and also the tabs on these two ends. I will not be gluing because I have another purpose for this. But once you have glue, you just snap these two handle parts to the sides. Now you can flip it over. I can't because then you can't see anything. So I will just see if I can do it from this position. Because now you just want to squeeze over the longer sides. on the tabs of the sides and the bottom. Let's just rotate it. And I'll see if I can push this over. It's a little easier if you do it upright. There we go. Finished tray. And it's so easy to clean since it's all coated with varnish. If you did add glue, I do recommend that you take a couple of rubber bands and add over the sides of your tray. That way it will hold everything together while the glue is drying. But building your own trays are really easy. If you like this video, please give it a like, please subscribe to my channel, and I will soon reveal the actual purpose of this tray.